Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. This is episode 23 I believe, and where we left off on the last one was where we had tried to paint on the side with thunderstorms. This is the very next day, and we did have the thunderstorms last night. We did have a lot of rain, and it just wouldn't have been possible to do anything yesterday. It's also not possible today. It's very humid, even though it's just after brightening up now. We actually did have rain earlier this morning, and I just don't trust it. It's very overcast. So yesterday I'd hoped to paint the two fuel tanks, so let me just turn the camera as usual. My little thingy. So one job I was to do was just to put a little bit of plastic sleeving over those studs sticking out of the for the manhole covers, we call them. And so I'm going to fit those because I might just mask the end of the chains, make up a small quantity of paint. It's lovely and warm inside in the cabin, it's dry, and just at least before these get a chance to corrode again, put a coating of paint on them, which wouldn't take a whole lot longer. So moving on, the next thing that I'm going to work on, because I can't get outside and we're nearly ready to complete the hull, but the other thing, so just let me jump down here. So if we just wait for the light to get in here, that's the exhaust. So if you look at the top pipe coming out of the top circle, that needs to be pointed towards that wall over there. But this one lines up directly with the manifold. So as you can see in there, it's sitting literally down beside the shaft. I'm going to keep that up maybe 3 or 4 inches above it, and make 2 sets of angle irons that will cross from one side of the engine girder, right there just behind that vacuum cleaner, to the other side, and mount that on it. Now, I'm looking at the catalogue and specs on this. There's a Vitas part. It's a 150mm diameter exhaust, and looking at that, they do offer mounts, rubberized mounts to stop vibration as an extra if you want them. And believe it or not, I actually have some that came out of something else. They're in really good condition. I'll just give them a little tidy up, and I think I will mount them on those. All told, I think that thing can weigh about 60 odd kg when it's full of exhaust at its heaviest, and these are rated at 140 per unit, so it'll just take the vibration out of them. So I'm going to start making up those mounts. I'm going to take that exhaust box out of there, so at least I can have it ready to match up the angle iron that I'm going to, and the little rubber mounts. So we'll keep going with what we're doing. So I've just used some 10mm clear heat shrink tubing. The reason why I'm using this and not masking tape, which would be the simplest thing, would be that I've actually fitted all of this in under 2 minutes. And the same on the other side. Plus I'm going to reuse them because I've got other tanks that I will need to paint. There's the reserve fuel tank, and there'll be some grey water ones, and just general nuts and bolts that I will need to paint, that I'll want to keep the threads clear. So I'll just throw them in a little box, and I'll have them whenever I need them. It's all, most of the bolts will be 10mm. So I'm probably going to paint in here so shortly, and we'll see how we get on, and also get that exhaust out of there so I can start mounting and making plans to mount that. So that's it. It's lovely and warm in here now, so there's no reason not to paint. So there we go, managed to get the two of these. It's flashing again outside. I turned the camera, the camera's covered in dust. So tank number 1 or 2, take your pick. That's fully done. And I didn't bother turning the camera. And that's tank number 2. Fully done, and I have all in around the little bits done. So very happy with that. This can dry away now for the evening. And we have 2 very clean tanks. So, and there's the rotten day outside. And everything getting wet. Joys of summer. Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. It's been a week since we managed to get painting, which was last Tuesday. Today's Tuesday again, and we've managed to get one day out of 4 or 5 days of constant drizzle and constant mist and fog, and another one forecast to come in later on tonight. But we have 20 odd degrees Celsius here today. As you can see there in the sky, we have very little chance of rain for now. It is coming in later on tonight. So what we're attempting to do today is we've spent the morning remopping the outside, the last bit of the hull on the outside, which was practically one whole side, and also the rest of the, let me turn the camera now, that's enough of my mug for the day. So also along the sides of the cockpit, and we did do out on the foredeck, so that's been done. A few things that we've decided to tidy up since, so it's just a case of just running the flap wheel along some edges there, just to improve them a little bit, to just basically get metal under paint, because it's easy to bring paint over metal. So we're ready to do across the front of the 3 windows, the main ones. The lads are working on just getting into some little areas there. We just need to get in under and just tidy up. But essentially, this side of the view is ready to go, and I hope to be painting in the next 20 minutes. So we're nearly ready for paint, probably half an hour away, and this side has been completely stripped back to bare metal. And we did manage to get, went to my friend Chris to drive the trucks, or the big truck, and he happened to have some scaffold planks he wasn't using. So we've actually managed to board out the whole front of it instead of changing. You see the little marks on the bit I painted already. These were where, and you can see the stripe going along there, a little black line there. And that's where the weld had penetrated out onto the hull. And it just raised the smallest part of a millimetre that could be seen. So it's either cover it all with paint loads of times, or actually remove it. So I've done the same there, and when I'm painting later, I would just recoat all of those little spots. There's another primer to go on after this, and then 2 undercoats and a gloss. So I'm now under the paint. So that's the best thing to do. So obviously the whole underside of it is still yet to be done. Made a start now on the side. I've just run out of paint, so I need to go and make another couple of litres of it. But essentially for 3 odd litres I'm missing, so I'm going to just make 2 litres now, because I still have a tiny bit of that tank to do on the inside. Other than that, we're painted. So excuse the wind everybody, this is a couple of days on from when I managed to paint this. It's actually Saturday, we painted it on Tuesday. The lads are making small, steady progress on preparing the underside of the boat. The other side is started as well, and we're hoping that we can somehow get this painted next week, or at least primed. There's a few little bits of weld at there's a little hole in the back of the keel there where I drilled to leave water out in the last 10 years while it sat here, and there's one or two little things we just need to tidy up. We've just had Storm Ellen come through here on Wednesday, and we've had very high winds and rain coming and going. We actually lost part of our trusty maple tree, loads of it fell down, so we managed to cut the rest of it out to lighten the load on it. So we've had to deal with that one as well. So it's not easy when you're outside. This would be so much easier if it was all in one huge big shed, but that said, it would be a big shed. So I'm going to actually work on some parts for the exhaust muffler mounting in, and we've removed the shaft now. You might have noticed, I've just meant to point that out. We've removed the shaft and the stern tube and the prop for painting purposes, and we don't actually need them in anymore. We are fitted to the engine when we need to be, and that's a while away yet, so we leave it out for now. There's no point in having it there. So folks, we've just last week got over the end of Storm Helen, and tonight we're preparing for Francesca or something. It starts with an F anyway. We also have to deal with this poor tree coming down, and bits of it had to be damaged. I think I've already shown you that. So we've had to put in all the windows back into it, the porthole covers. We're all battened down here, and we've torrential rain coming tonight, so I don't think there's a whole lot going to get done. The lads, I'll show you in a sec, the lads managed to get nearly all the underside of the boat done. We've new paint on the way, so hopefully next week, once the weather changes and everyone goes back to school, if they are going back, then the weather is going to get good, of course, as per normal, and then I can go painting. So my next plan, which I'm actually designing at the moment, and I have to make some angle iron of my own because it's a weird angle, 113 degrees to match the back of the tank. So basically I'm going to make frames that have more than 10 mil space all around to allow 5mm rubber for those tanks to sit into them, and then place those on the floor, place the tanks into them, then lift out the tanks and then weld them solidly into place by bringing them, because that, while the girder is straight at the front, the thick beam you can see underneath where the level is, the back frames, the ribs of the boat aren't, they all change in dimension, so the tank won't sit on those evenly. So this frame will bridge in between the two, and then we'll use threaded bar and little top pieces to hold down the tanks in 3 places. So in the workshop, while it's going to rain for the next day or two, I have plenty to be doing that I can be doing inside there. So this whole side of the boat now is now fully prepped and back to bare metal, ready for paint all the way to the bow. Well, we have a little bit of the bow on each side. There's one tiny little patch there. Well, when I say tiny, it's as big as a small dinghy. There's the first from the transom right up to this point here has to be done, and the rest of it is done. It has taken the lads quite a bit of time because they're literally on their backs on that beam or sitting on chairs right underneath it and working over their heads, so it's been horrible for them, but we're nearly there, and hopefully we'll get painted. Obviously that'll need one quick run, but that'll be fast before we go to paint when we do it next week. So the metal to make the frames to hold down the 2 fuel tanks has arrived. As 40mm box, and some of the flats for the angle iron I'm going to have to make at 113 degrees. So in order to get that angle made from 2 flat pieces, I don't have a circular saw. Well, I have one, but it's not set up right. So that is exactly 113 degrees, and what I did is I went to my ex-neighbour, ex-school friend and owner of Waterford Joinery, Sean McGrath, and he cut me this piece off a wasted piece of door frame that he had, and we measured it down to 113 degrees. So basically I'll clamp one piece here and one piece here and get my tacks going, and that'll stop it from deforming, and I'll be able to make my 2.5 meter long pieces of that weird angle iron, and that'll support the back of the tank. The tank will sit into it like that on one side, this will be up, that'll be the floor, or on the other side it'll be the other way around. So I have all the angles there that I need for the tanks, just purely as a dummy, just to make them work. So hopefully we'll get on with that later. So while it's blowing a gale from our little storm we had last night, Francesca, I've managed to mock up one of these 113-degree angle irons that I'm going to make. So I'm going to start here where I've corner to corner and then keep the clamp moving along and tack it in place. I'm back to my old friend. This is the actual welder that welded the boat 13 years ago. It was bought in Cork. Sides missing off it. It's a 7-metre reach from the main transformer there. I have 3 metres on the hose on the gun, and I have 4 metres on the umbilical, and that's what actually built the whole boat. It lived in it for quite a while, so as you can see it's in a sorry state, but it's working perfectly. And I had to rewire because it's 32 amps, so I had to make a new power box today to feed that, so I have a heavy cable going back, so now I can weld both sides. So I'll get on with some welding here. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a couple of days. We haven't been able to do a whole lot working on those brackets for the tanks, but Old Faithful is back, the one that actually built the boat, and anything you can see there in yellow is some of the last few jobs that need to be done. That was cut to leave water out of it while it sat there for all those years. So today we are going to paint both sides of the underside of the hull. The new paint has arrived. We have the temperature. Wind isn't too bad. It's full through here, and very little cleaning to be done left. The boys are just finishing out that under the pads, and Zara's just tipping a few little bits of high welds, and I have a few little welds to touch underneath that I'm not happy with, a little pinhole or something. So we just grind that out and start again. So I'm just going to do those, and that should be the end of the welding underneath the boat. Are you going to mask it first and then lift it?
Yeah.
So we've half the boat painted. We're up as far as here underneath. Clouds are coming in, but it's not going to rain. So it's just that side to do. The other side is completely done. I'm very happy with it. And we're off some of the pads. Just waiting for the paint to dry and we replaced them. And now all the pads now have carpet. The boat will only be sitting on carpet from now on. It'll never be sitting on either the steel pads or the timber. And a little idea the lads had, I think it was Dara, was to mask off the rudder and give that a couple of coats, or at least a coat. So while it's out, they're just going to mask off the stainless, and we're going to lift it with the winch above, wherever it is, right there. It got blown around the last storm. So we'll be well done by tea time.
Going. Yeah. There? Yeah. under. Yeah, stay on the earth.
So we've had a very successful day. We've more rain coming in tonight, but guess what? The whole thing is painted. 2 coats actually on some places, like the transom has got, keep the camera this way. Transom's got a second coat on the back and all down this side as well. Can I see that? I can. So we've all the pads lifted as well. I think one of them didn't. That pad there has to go back. I will actually turn the camera. This one didn't get lifted either side. We'll get it on the next round of paint. But we're all finished. It's fully finished. Obviously lots of filling now and fairing and whatnot to do. So we'll get to that. We actually have new compound 9 litres come in. And we're going to spend the month of September turning this into something that should look like fiberglass. So the rudder's painted as well. Got a second coat on that. That really does need to have a nice thick layer of epoxy on it. It'll be anti-fouled after that. And we'll take that back to the garage once it's dry. So that's it. The next thing we're going to do is start finishing out plating this, and obviously we'll protect that with canvas and stuff while we're doing this and get this bit done. And we still have the inside of the flare bridge to do and the radar arch to paint and a few more bits and pieces there anyway, just to get a coat of paint on it. That will be us done. It'll be us weatherproofed and anti-rusted and fully primed for the winter. And obviously we'll keep building coats as we can. If the weather stays with us, we'll be laughing, and if not, we'll just have to wait. But either way, we've taken what was dilapidated paint and slightly rusty boat earlier in the year to something looking very new and finally primed. So that's the end of this episode, folks. We'll come back on the next one, obviously. You may have noticed, and I'll put a link below, that there is a Facebook group called Shibumi. It's just called Shibumi, and it's a private group, and it's especially, I've just noticed that paint here because I'm looking at the viewfinder. And we also now have a Facebook page, so it's Shibumi Boat Build, and the link will be in below as well. The reasoning behind that, in case anyone's wondering, is I can do more, I can interact more with other boat builders and other people as that page, whereas as the group I couldn't. I had to do it as myself, which I've no problem with, but it wasn't drawing attention the way I wanted to try and build the YouTube channel. So that's really the reason why. So thanks again for watching. Please like and share. And I've just really seen the amount of paint that's on my face, so we'll deal with that. The boys have dinner nearly ready, and very happy with today. So take care, folks. Thank you.
Scoop, can I ask Scoop? We've got lots of questions for you. How do you feel about the boat? Thank you for your time.